Okay, so good morning to everyone. Now, today we will discuss about the layout manager, and then we will cover the string that is used in the Java. We will cover that. So, first starting for layout manager, then we will describe that layout manager is basically used for the graphics programming. It is basically used for graphics programming. We will use the layout manager, and it is used to arrange components in a particular manner. Let's say that means, let's say we have a window like this. We have a window, and in this window, let's say this is a button, and beside the button there will be a text box or a text box, and beside them there will be a, let's say, button present, or the other components, like after that a checkbox will be present. That means arrangement of AWT components in a particular manner. We do it as a layout manager. Using the layout manager, we arrange the components, and to arrange these components in a particular manner, we use the layout manager. And this layout manager is also, basically it is an interface that is implemented by the all classes of layout manager. So all the classes of the layout manager, it is an interface, and all the classes of layout manager implemented that. So layout manager is basically used to arrange the AWT components. Now we have four types of layout manager. First one is the border layout manager. Then second one is the card layout manager. Third one is the flow layout manager. And the fourth one is the grid layout manager. So this is the arrangement of components. Now the border layout manager. What this border layout manager do? Now border layout manager basically divide our, let's say we have a frame like this. Let's say we have a frame like this, and this entire frame, we will divide in the five types. We will divide it into the five region. That means this border layout manager will do what? It will make our screen or the window which we have, that window into the five region. Means now the components, AWT components, that either it will be the text box, either it will be the button, any AWT components. This AWT components are to be used in one region. Let's say we have a button. That button we this dividing. Now basically we want that we have a text box, we have a button. Now basically we want that this button should be present in this region, this text box should be present in this region. So it basically divide our window into the five regions. So what are these five regions? The middle, the center of the our window, the center of the window will be our name center region, and in this side it will be known as the west region, and this side it will be known as the east region, and the lower side will be known as the south region, and the upper side will be used as the north region. So this means this border layout manager will divide our into this window into these five regions: south region, north region, west region, east region, and the middle is the center region. So according to this if we use the border layout manager, then the layout of the window will be like this, that it will divide the window into the five regions. Now there is a note down for thing that each region will only contain one element. That means, let's say in this we want a button, and that button should be present in the north region. So we place that button in the north region. But let's say another text box is there, but we cannot place that text box into the north region again. Then the other region we have to place that. So it is said that each region can contain only one component, and which component lie which region, that means which component will be lie in which region, is identified by the north, south, east, west and center, the 5 regions in which we divided. It will identify that which component will be present in which region. Now let's say if we have some sort set of some frame, that means we everything we have done in the that case we have seen set layout. So mainly the frame layout we choose. So let's say we want that there is a set of frame and this frame should be layout. So our frame layout should be like this. Then what we have to do? Then the first thing we have to do, we already know that first we have to create the frame class object. So first thing what we have to do, we have to create the frame class object. So like this frame f equal to new frame, and that will create the frame class object. And as a parameter means the name it will be stored that layout. That means this frame class object, this will contain the layout. And after that we want to set the frame layout. So with the object of the frame, we call the set layout method. And in this set layout method, you see we have passed the parameter new border layout. New border layout is what? Border layout class object. So yes, you can say then why we didn't write border layout F or border layout B object. You can write that also, and like this you can also write, because new keyword always specify that it creates an object. So that means what? That means as a parameter we are passing border layout class object. So that means now our frame layout is what? Our frame will be look like this border layout. That means our frame will be now divided into the 5 regions. So it is basically creating what? It is basically creating the object of the border layout class. You can write border layout B also here. It is what? Because for creating the object, you can write that also. So here, if you write new keyword, then it is also because new keyword always specify for creating the object. So that means what will happen? The layout, our frame will be the layout as the border layout. That means our frame will now be divided into the 5 regions. So now after dividing the 5 regions, let's say we want then that in each region there will be some button present in each region. So we divided our region into the 5 regions. We divided our frame, and we want that in each region one component should be there, because we have already said that each region can contain only one component. So we want that in each region one button should be present. Then suppose we have 5 buttons, because 5 regions are there, and each region we can place one component. So we have 5 buttons there, and we have to place each and one button in a region. So like this, you see, like this we will add, like this we will add f dot add, because this is the frame class object, and our frame is now using the border layout manager it is using. So that means our frame is divided into region. And now add. So in this frame, what we are doing? B1 comma north. That means our button B1 will be added into the north region. Then again f dot add B2. This is the another button we are using. This button we want, this button will be added into the south. Let's say f dot add, f dot add, and the next button B3 we will want to add in the east region. So we will write east. We will write east. Then the next, let's say button 4. The button 4 we want to add in the our west region. Then same process, first frame class object, then frame through this frame class object we will call the add method, and in this add method we will pass two parameters. One is the button which you are adding, and that button where you are adding, in which region you are adding, you have to specify that. Let's say in that case the before button which we have, we want that before button should be placed in the west region, then before comma west. And let's say our button 5, the last button we have, we want this button 5 to be the center. In that case you will do what, f dot add b5 comma our center region, you will write that center. Yes, but you cannot do like this, f dot add b3, and in this case against south, you east, you write south again, because this will not be, this will show error, because only one region, in a region only one component should be present, but we are wanting that two buttons should be placed in the south region, so this will be not possible, this will be not possible. So we have to add each and every button into a different region, into a different region we should have to add. So step by step, if we have seen that first step, what we have to do, we have to create the frame class object, and after creating the frame class object we are setting the frame layout. So that means frame through frame class object we will call the set layout method, and in the set layout method as a parameter which type of layout we are choosing, that layout object we have to pass. Here we are choosing the border layout, so border layout object we have to pass as a parameter, and then here we are adding 5 buttons, so that 5 buttons, let's say for this there is no button, in this case it is the text field, then what we have to do, then also we have to add that text field into the particular or the different regions. So one by one text fields will be added in the different regions. So this is the concept of the border layout. Okay, clear? It is clear to everyone? So you see, like this the buttons will be added. Then the next layout is the card layout. Now the card layout is what? It arranges each component in the container as a card. Now if you seen that in our card, if you see that the pack of cards are present, that we have total 52 cards present. So that these 52 cards are, when we use that this card one by one in the pack of cards, they are beside one another. So the top, we only able to see the top of the card. That means the card which is present in the first, we can only see that, but other cards, they are beside that card. So a pack of cards look like this, so one by one the card will be there, but we only able to see the topmost card. So this is what we want, that it will be arranged like this. Our layout will be like the pack of cards, like in the pack of cards our layout will be look like this. So mainly the thing is what, only the one card is visible, because the topmost card, if you see in the pack of cards, only the topmost card is visible and other cards is beside it, so that means other cards will not be visible. Same concept here also, that we arrange the component here as a container of card. That means as a pack of cards we arrange the components, and only one card is visible, and the container acts as a stack of cards. So the pack of cards, it will look like this. Now let's say one by one there is a card, And in this card, let's say there is in the sorry, in the card 1 there is a button present, and then in the next card, card 2, there is another button present, B2. And we want that after pressing the button 1, after pressing the button 1 that is present in the card 1, the next card will open. We want like this. Then what we have to do? We have to do, first thing is what? Same process. First we have to create the frame class object. First we have to create the frame class object. Yes, here I have not mentioned anything. You can mention this is the name of the frame. That means in the top of the frame the name will be shown. That's why in that case I use the layout. That means this layout will be shown in the top of the frame. But here I didn't want nothing to be printed, so that's why this is what, there is no parameter I have passed, so it will be shown as a blank. In the top it will be shown as a blank. Okay, then what we are using here, we are using the button. So button means what? We have to create the object of the button also. I have not shown that, but like this button b1 equal to new button, button b2 equal to new button, like this you have to create the buttons class object also, because the buttons is also you are using here. So that means you have to create the buttons class object in this also. Then what we have to do, we have to use the card layout. Now here we are using the card layout, so that means we have to create the card layout class object. So here you see we have created card layout card, we have used, and inside of it you see we have created the object new equal to card layout. That means this is the object, this is the object we are creating, this is the object we are creating here. And you see we are passing 40 and 30, that means it is the size, int width and height. So width and height of the card will be 40 and 30. And we are, what we will now we have to do, we have to add the cards, because in the frame there will be the frame present, and inside the frame what we want, that a card will be present, and this card will be where, this card there will be the button present. So that means like this we have to add the cards. The card we have to add like that, f dot add, then card1 b1. So in the card1 the button will be b1, then in the next card f dot add card2 b2. So that means the card, in this card we will one by one add the buttons. Then next what we want, that there is a card one first card, and in this first card there is a button present, and when we press that button, when we press that particular button b1, the next card will open. So that means if you observe, it is an event handling, because when you press the button an event is generated and it is opening, the next card is opening. So that means we have to use the event handling code also. And event handling code means what? If any event generated by the button, then which interface we use? Action listener interface. So that's why what we have to do, we have to make the registration, we have to make the registration with this button. So that's why we are using, you see, button b1 dot add action listener this, because we want that if we press the button b1, then the next card will open. So that means what? This button b1 is generating some event. So if it is generating some event, that means we have to use the event handling interface or event handling method. And in this event handling method, if it is generated by the button, then which listener? We use action listener. So that means we have to make the registration of the action listener with our button. That button is the b1. So with this button b1, we add the add action listener, and as a parameter this is used for the current reference. So that means now this action listener we have used, we have made the registration process. Now in the action listener, which method is present and what we have to override? The method that we have to override, if you remember, public void action performed, action event AE. That is what? That is a method that is present in the action listener interface. That action listener that is present in that. So we have to override that method. So we do what? We override that, and inside of it we use a method named card.next. Card.next if. Now what is next? Next is used, next method is used to display the next card, and it will be whom? Through, you see, card layout object. This card is what? This card is the card layout class object, because we are doing over card layout. So using card layout object, we call the next method. And over whom this is performing? This is performing over the frame. So that's why we pass the object of the frame, because this card is over whom? This card is over the frame. So we are performing this over whom? We are performing this over frame. So that's why card dot next, and as a parameter frame object we have passed, and this is what it is used to display the next card. And if we see in our example, it will be the card 2. So basic step is what? That which components you will, this step should be followed. Which components you have to require, that components object creation is necessary first. Now here we want a frame, a button. So that's why first we have to create the object of that. And then after that, in the next step, what we have to do, the particular layout we want to use, that particular layout object should be created. Now, after creating that particular layout object, and as a parameter, send the size of that particular layout. Send the size of the particular layout, because this is the card. So that's why this card layout has int and height. So we have to pass that. Then our layout, our frame layout is selected. Then we want what? Then we want that in this frame, the card name and our components should be added. So that's why we have to call the add method, and through this add method we'll create the card and a button. Then, and after creating that, we here, if I didn't want that any event handling should be present, that means no button should be present, then we do not have to use the event handling. But here I want that this button should be pressed, then the next card will open. That's why it is generating event. So that's why we are using the action listener, because any event generated by the button will be handled by the action listener. So that's why we are using the action listener, add action listener. And the button 1 is generating the event. So that's why button 1, with button 1 we have to make this registration process. And after that, what we have to do, we know that if we use the action listener, then the action listener interface which we have to override that method. And this inside this overriding method, we used a method named next. Next is what? It will open the next. It will open the next thing. But here we want that our next card should be open. That means card layout object. Through card layout object, we have to call the next method, because we want here that the next card will open. So card layout, through card layout object, we have to call the next method. And as a parameter, over whom we are performing that object should be there. That object is what we are performing over frame. So that's why the frame object is there. So this is the example of the card layout. Okay. It is clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
It is clear? Okay. Now, the third type is what? The third type is the flow layout. The third type is the flow layout. And this is what? This is the this is our default layout. That means when in the first time I have used null, when I have used in the concept that set layout, and inside the of it as a parameter we send a null, that if you send null also, this layout will be chosen. This is the default layout that computer or our system use this flow layout. If you choose or not, it is up to you that which layout you will use. But if you didn't mention anything in the layout, then the system will default this layout, that is the flow layout. And in this flow layout, how the components are arranged? The components are arranged in a line, one after another. That means, let's say this is our screen. Let's say this is the length of the screen, and we want that in this the buttons should be arranged, and we didn't mention anything. We didn't mention anything, only mention that set layout null. In that case, the components will be arranged like this. So let's say we want that our button should be present, and this button should be present in this flow layout. So that means here first button 1 will be added, button 2 will be added, then button 3. But after that there is no screen size, because our screen size is this much. So that means the next button will be placed here, the next button will be placed here, then B6 button. After B6 it says that the screen size is not much, then again the next, from the next it will start. So one after another, the layout will be chosen here. The one after another, the components will be added, and this is the our default layout. So one by one components will be arranged one after another, and if the screen size ends, then in the next line, from the next line it will start. So like this is the default layout the system performs whether you choose or not. And if you mention, then it is okay, but if you didn't mention also, there is no problem. This layout will be automatically chosen. Now here how we have to do same process. Here I have not seen the shown the frame class object creation, but you have to first create the frame class object, then you have to create the buttons object. After that you can do that. So first this process I have not shown, this I have not mentioned here, but when you will do, you have to create that first the frame class object we have to create, then the buttons object you have to create. After that you can write, after that you can write that. That is, here this layout will be chosen over whom? This layout we will choose over the frame. This layout we will choose over the frame. So that's why we will, this layout will be choose over the frame. So with the frame class object we call the set layout, and you see as a parameter we have passed new flow layout. That means flow layout class object we pass. And here this is also possible that if you use null, then also the flow layout will be chosen. So it is upon you that whatever you will write, but this I am saying this that you may write, no problem. So this is what, this is new flow layout we have written, and after the flow layout is chosen, then we will add the buttons. So here this is a simple process that the buttons, this particular button will directly added. We do not have to mention other things, because here the components will be arranged one after another, and no such cart concept, no such region concept. So that means we do not have to say that, we do not have to mention this. We only mention that particular thing which you want to add in the frame. So that's why with frame class object we call the add method, and as a parameter you see, as a parameter we only mention button 1. Then in the next case it will be, let's say button 2. So f dot add b2, then f dot add b3, then f dot add b4, then f dot add b5. If there is other buttons, then f dot add b6. Like this you will add the components you want, that component should be added like this. Let's say here you didn't use the button. Let's say you are using the text field. You are using the text field. In that case, what you have to do, first you have to create the frame class object. Then after creating the frame class object, you have to create the text field object. How many text field you are using, you will have to create that total number of object. So that means, let's say you are using 6 text field, so that 6 text field object should be created. And after creating the 6 text field object, you will choose the layout. This layout you will choose like set layout as a parameter. You pass the new flow layout, and then there will be what, f dot add sorry, f dot add, and as a parameter, let's say the first text field object you will pass there. Then in the next case, the second text field object you will pass. Third case, the third text field object you will pass. In the fourth case, you will pass the fourth text field object. So like this, you will pass the number of text field you have used, that text field object you will add the in your screen, you will add in it. So this is what, this is our total flow layout concept. And the last one, which is remaining, that is the grid layout. This is the grid layout. So the layout will be the, what will be the grid layout? Grid layout divides the container or our total window into a grid of cells. That means with rows and columns, it will divide. Here also, the thing mentioned that each cell will accommodate one component. Same process like the border layout. In the border layout, we divide our entire window into 5 regions. Here we divide our entire window into grid of cells. That means row or column wise, we divide our total window. And in that, we will only particularly at a point we can accommodate only one component. So here, let's say this is our window. This is, let's say as an example we are taking, this is our window. Now this window is what, in this window we divide this window using the grid layout. And in this grid layout we are using the 3 rows and 4 columns. That means the size we mentioned 3,4. So that means what we have, then our total window will be divided into 3 rows and 4 columns, and this will look like this. Let's say we want in this grid layout that our total window will be divided into 3 rows and 2 columns, and there in each row and each column a button should be present. So what we have to do, so like this same process, first create the frame class object, then the buttons, the number of buttons we are dividing, what we are dividing 3,2. 3,2 means what? 3,2 means 3 rows and 2 columns. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 components we can able to add. So here we want that buttons should be added. So that means 6 buttons we can add only. So that means this 6 buttons object should be created first. After creating that 6 buttons object, the layout we have to choose. This layout we have to choose. Then this layout is what? This layout is means f dot set layout. That means over the frame we are choosing the layout, and as a parameter you see the particular layout we are choosing new grid layout, because here we are grid layout object we are passing, because this layout will be the grid layout. And as a parameter we have mentioned that how many rows and how many columns we will divide, that should be mentioned. And then one by one the button should be added. Same process, one by one the button should be added. So 3 by 2 means 6. Only 6 buttons we can able to add. So one by one these 6 buttons we will add into our this layout. So this is what, this is the layout manager. This is all about our layout manager. in this process, it is basically the arrangement of the components. That means how it will look like and how we'll arrange the components in our not system, in our window, basically in our window, or basically we can say in our frame, that how the components we will arrange. And we have 4 types of layout. Using this 4 types of layout, we will arrange our components. Whatever way or whatever layout you want to choose, it is up to you. Okay, clear?
Sir, can you repeat that row and column concept again?
Okay. Now row and column concept is basically what? Let's say this grid layout. In this grid layout, we want that our total frame or the window, our total frame or the window, we want that how many rows and how many columns should be present. It is up to you that you want to decide that this type, this many rows and this many columns, our total window will be divided. Now let's say as an example, I have shown 3,2. There should be 3,4. There should be 3,5 or 4,2. It is up to you that how many you will do, how many size you will fix. It is up to you. So here in this example, I am using 3,2. Using 3,2. That means our total window will be divided what? Our total in this, if we see, our total window, our total frame will be divided into 3 rows. Will be divided into 3 rows and 2 columns. This is what, that our total window will be divided into 3 rows and 2 columns. Now it is mentioned same thing in the border layout. We have also seen that each cell, that means this is creating a cell. This is a cell, this is a cell, this is a cell, this is also a cell, this is also a cell, and this is also a cell. And each cell, if you see that how many cells are present, 1 2 3 4 5 6. So that means we can only able to add 6 components. Now you say that 6 components, which component we will choose? It is up to you that if you choose 6 buttons, if you want to choose 6 text field, if you want to choose 6 checkbox, radio box, it is up to you that how many you, which type of you can choose. But you have to choose only 6 because each cell can accommodate only 1 components. Now here in this example, I am choosing the button. So that means we are only able to add 6 buttons in this total way, in this 6 buttons. Because let's say this B1 will be added here, B2 will be added here, then B3 will be added here, B4 will be added here, B5 will be added here, B6 will be added here, or B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, B6. Like this also it can possible. But only 6 buttons, only 6 buttons we can able to use here. 6 components, not buttons, because you can use other components also. But only 6 components, because each cell can accommodate only 1 component at here.